hometown. They hail from the Horizon League. Clemson, Middle Tennessee, the Quakers from Penn. Fordham, Appalachian State. Had an opportunity to connect with their distance coach, formerly at the University of Pittsburgh, is just enjoying everything down in Boone, North Carolina. They've had so many difficulties with weather recently. Mother Nature has really not been kind to the Carolinas. But Appalachian State, they are here and ready to go in the men's distance medley relay. So I know I always bring this up in conversation. See the 4x8. Also maybe indoor, or is that just too much overkill in the middle distance?
I honestly do think that's too much overkill for indoors. I want to say I remember maybe 20 years ago they used to have either the DMR at NCAA championships or the 4x8. I can't remember which one, but there's definitely a need for a distance relay at the highest level of collegiate and high school track and field, and the DMR kind of bridges that all together. Like I say, there's all kinds of drama usually in this race, storylines between the different events, and this 400 and 800 drawing in the 12 and the 16 together. So there's definitely a need for it, for as many distance runners as we have in college track and field. And it's just beautiful to watch.
Oh, yeah. All right, things are coming together. They ran in alleys initially. The women were all in one big waterfall start. And a little bit of contact there as Clemson now scoots to the inside to take the early lead.
And Clemson in that classic orange. Easy to spot there, no matter where they're at in the race, but right there in the front, good position for them. They have my good friend Leroy Burrell now as the coach over there, and he's done such a great job with that program.
And I'd mentioned Appalachian State, they're looking back in about the number 6 position as we roll through the first lap of this opening 1,800 meters. Still some contact toward the back of the pack. It looked like the Youngstown State runners in this field. So 16 teams.
Yeah, we see a lot of extension in arms, trying to create some space and not get tied up with the legs. Pretty comfortable pace here. These guys are on the 1,200-meter leg for a reason, and we're going to see this open up with some leg speed. But you got to be poised. You got to know when the kick is going to happen, and you got to be prepared for it.
So check my earlier comment about YSU. Those are actually the Seawolves from Stony Brook and not YSU. The colors were similar. And things are picking up as the leadoff runner from Navy, Carson Sloat, hit the accelerator, and he is gone quickly up by 8 to 10 meters over the #1 runner from Clemson.
And that was a decisive move, and he has 10 meters, and he really didn't give people a time to react. But did he go too hard too soon? We'll find out, but he is in the lead right now for the Navy shipment.
And adding a little bit to that advantage as we see Fordham in the #2 spot. But it is Navy and hopefully Carson Sloat leading off that 1,200, and right when he crossed start finish, boom, he was on the gas. He's up by 6 meters, still looking pretty strong, using the arms, bringing it home as the Quakers of Penn move into the #2 spot. So it is Navy, then Penn through the line, then Fordham, 2:58. So sub 4-minute pace on that opening 1,200 meters as they head off to the Speed Merchants.
Yeah, and Fordham, and I believe that's Middle Tennessee State. A little love taps there for those 400-meter runners. This is the drama of the distance medley relay that you love to see, bridging that 800-meter leg and the 1,200-meter leg.
So the other team in the equation up front, the Providence Friars, now moving into the #2 spot, slipping past Penn. So it is Navy, Providence, Fordham, then Penn. 1, 2, 3, 4. 16 teams, a little bit of breathing room at the finish line to pass that baton. Now things settle down a little bit, but this is again where you get some of the ebb and flow in the 800. If, again, you're not running a flat 800, somebody takes it out a little easy, they fall back, they take it out too hard, they either move up or maybe burn themselves out later in the race.
Yeah, this is the position of the race where Navy can really create even more separation, or possibly Fordham and Providence reel them in a bit. And you might see some of that from the teams further back, knowing they may not have had the strongest or the fastest 400-meter leg put out there on the relay, but they have a really good 800-meter leg to bring things together to get their miler in a good spot.
Second and final lap of the 800, the third leg of the distance medley relay is underway right now as our Navy runner took a quick look at the timing and scoring board. The top 5 teams were all under 3 minutes for that 3-lap 1,200 run. So great pacing. Again, the Championship of America DMR is going to come later on this weekend. So these are teams that are just couldn't quite get into the Championship of America, but very quality, very fine quality Division I distance medley relay teams. So it's a 47-47 400 that kept Navy in front, and another strong leg from the midshipmen. You see a trio of teams that is Ryder now moving up into the number 2 spot. So it's Ryder, Providence, Fordham, all giving chase to Navy.
Dallas Honey is who Ryder had listed in that 800-meter spot. Big time run from him to bring his boys right up there. Fordham and Providence still in the mix. But they are all lurking and tracking down the midshipmen.
Now, we've seen things play out before here in the 4x-mile for the men, where it almost comes to a stop, where strategy just comes into the forefront of this race. Now look at, well, once we had a 10 to 15 meter lead for Navy throughout this race. Now we have 7 teams all there.
I think Clemson brought some of those guys from the further back pack as they are now in the 2 spot. And we have a group, a 6-pack.
Plus
Actually,
one.
A 7-pack.
All right, so at the front is Navy. At the tail end of this lead group, the Bears of Brown, Clemson in there, Providence, Fordham, Ryder, and the University of Pennsylvania, the home team. And now we have 2 other squads. How low can they go on this 1,600-meter anchor? Do we have any sub-4 milers out there in these Division I squads? It's going to be a 9-team pack, as I think that's Appalachian State joining the mix.
Yeah, and I mean, I mentioned 6-pack. They're turning 7 now. You say 9, and it is right about now 9 people. And that pace is just too slow. It's going to turn into a kicker's race.
Yes.
We're going to see it's very convoluted. It's going to get more disjointed when they start to fight for positioning and that pole position on this final lap.
Well, we saw the leadoff runner from Navy take off with 400 to go in that 1,200. Do we see somebody with 2 laps remaining in the 1,600 at least?
I think
raise the ante a little?
I believe that's a little early unless someone is not as comfortable in their kick. And this entire field, we're moments away from everybody being together with 2 laps to go on this thing.
We're talking tidal wave flow here, ebb and flow. This is crazy.
We went from 1 to 3 to 7 to 9, and we're going to be, what, 14 thick in this? I mean, they're running just that slow that the second group doesn't really have to extend a lot of energy to catch them.
No, this is good stuff.
There we go.
All right, now they're going 3 wide down they're 4 wide. They're all the way out into lane 6. Don't worry, folks, that's only the 3rd lane of the track.
I'm told, Phil, this is normal for Philadelphia traffic.
All right, this is going to be great. The final 500 meters, they're in it right now, folks. How does this race play out? You know, some of the runners on the tail end of this full field really got to be tired because they put a lot out to get there. But who has the closing speed? The first one on the throttle. Is it going to be Clemson? Is it going to be Navy? Is it going to be Brown? What about Fordham sneaking up on the outside? They are 4 wide.
If I'm Providence or Ryder, I'm feeling real uncomfortable right now, but you have to be patient being on that inside. It's going to open up, and you have to pick your chance, and when it happens, you got to go.
I want to be on the rail. I want to run as short of a distance around this 400 as possible. Navy is there. Clemson's on their shoulder. How is this going to play out? There are a dozen teams there. Who has the most fuel left in the tank? Here comes Fordham. Brown down the back straight. The midshipmen of Navy, they've been in front the entire way. Will they finish that way?
Navy invited everybody to the party on this leg, but he's still the host right now. And is that Fordham?
That is Fordham, the Rams of Fordham. Side by side with the midshipmen, and then 2 more behind, Providence and Penn. What a finish to the college men's distance medley relay. And on the outside, the winner is coming from 5th to 1st. Holy crowd, George Washington.
We talked about the drama, Phil.
Wow.
Boston College wouldn't let us get it in the girls.
And they are loving life. George Washington. I couldn't quite make out sort of the camouflage uniform. George Washington with the victory. As we almost had the entire field, there is the man who made it happen for George Washington. Closing it out, he was 5th with 60 to